Hi, Scott here from SEAT-CUPRA-NET. We are here today with CUPRA's Tavascan. This is their Halo car, all electric. This car costs $5,780 and this is the VZ1 version. It's the super fast version. We'll talk about the performance a bit later when we go for a drive. And this color is called Atacama Desert. It's a kind of goldy metallic color. I think it looks good. It's a little bit too old man for me. I'm not quite ready for a car of this color yet personally, but it's a striking car. And this is not drastically different from the concept car that we saw quite a few years ago now over in Spain. CUPRA have stuck to the original vision largely in terms of the looks, certainly from the exterior. The inside, being a concept car on the previous one, was a bit too bling and white lighting and all sorts of stuff. But they've still got some fancy lighting going on inside the car, and we will talk about that when we do an interior look later. So let's get on with the review. Started with the front of the car. CUPRA means business. This looks really mean and aggressive. You've got this muscular bonnet here with this raised center bit. This kind of looks like grooves that go in, kind of indented here. Doesn't actually go anywhere. And we have the CUPRA logo proud and center here. Now this is different to the other CUPRA models because this is illuminated. This is a first for CUPRA and for quite a lot of other manufacturers really. What it means is there's this black surround, and at night there's a white outline around the CUPRA logo that lights up at night, and if the CUPRA's coming up behind you, you know what it is. We've got the matrix headlights, the 3-triangle design. I've done a video of these at night. If you've not seen what matrix headlights can do, link to that in the description for my CUPRA Leon review. Be sure to check that out. And if we come lower down, we can see here we've got this darker grey here with this kind of sweeping in curve and these chunks. Best I can describe it as chunks taken out of it, which looks again kind of like teeth, makes it look quite mean. We have all the camera trickery and sensors here, quite a lot of sensors, and the front facing camera there. And yeah, overall I think the front of the car is probably its best angle. It looks really mean, really aggressive, and it's certainly been turning a lot of heads while I've been driving around. Side profile of the car now, again the best way I can describe is it's quite muscular, it's kind of haunched up. You've got the line here that starts to the light, thins out a bit here, but then goes all the way down here to the front, gets a bit chunkier as you go down. You've got this gloss pillar here that stops, and then the roof's quite flat and then curves down into quite a steep rear window there, which has no rear wiper on. We'll talk about the rear of the car in a second. You've got different tone colour for the wheel arches, and again this chunky bit in that same colour, and this bit that then tapers out down to the front and then curves around that front arch. One thing that caught me out with these door handles, they're quite different to what we've seen on other CUPRA cars. I thought this whole bit that you see here would come out, but actually it doesn't. That's fixed. There's a plastic strip that runs underneath that you have to pull. Doesn't feel quite as, I don't know, satisfying to use as I'm used to. I hope that whole handle would come out. Again, not the end of the world, but just something you do get used to. So if we take a look at the wheels, these are 21-inch wheels. This design is called Català, and being CUPRA, we have the contrast between the copper color and the black. Now, interestingly, this has plastic bits stuck on in gloss black, and the rest of the wheel is matte black. Not sure how I feel about that. I think they could have made the brake calipers there a different color rather than just silver. Looks a kind of bit OEM. Maybe in the copper color would look quite good, but who am I to judge? But overall, I think the wheels look good and suit the car. So if we take a look at the rear of the car, we have a very sloped rear window there. Looks really cool. No need for a rear wiper. Some slight raised bits here on either side that goes up a bit to the panoramic roof. And we come down here, we have a gloss black spoiler that goes right across there. Below we see the CUPRA logo embedded in the light strip, which illuminates, and the bar goes all the way across to the now familiar 3-triangle design that we've seen on the other models, the Formentor and the Leon, and that will soon no doubt be on the CUPRA Born facelift when that comes. Be sure to subscribe and we will have a review of that as soon as that becomes available. If we come further down, we have big CUPRA lettering here. VZ stands for Veloz in Spanish, which means fast. This is the VZ version. As I said, VZ1. And then lower down we have the darker color grey here again, followed by a gloss black diffuser with the sensors in for the rear parking sensors there. And just further down, there's another bit here which is just hard plastic, just finishes it off there. The back of the car I don't think looks quite as good as the front, but it still is a good looking car from the rear. So taking a look in the boot, it's a big boot, 540 litres, more than enough space to fit your bags if you're going away for a weekend or even a week potentially. Plenty of room for your shopping. Now, this model has a second floor, so below it you can see we've got all the charging kit there as well, which is nice and handy. It keeps it out of the way. I don't know how well you'll see the boot, and it's quite a sunny day today. Now, we were thinking about this as a potential car to replace my other half's car. She's got a Volvo SUV, and we have a dog, we have a golden retriever. We're not sure if because of that rear window it might be too steep for the dog, so worth checking that out if you are thinking about getting it for your dog to sit in. So as I get into the car, watch when I put my foot on the brake. The seat's moving into my driving position, making it easier for me to get in and out of the car, which is really cool. Still haven't found that feature on my car, that for those of you that have commented on the CUPRA Leon review that I've done recently. Steering wheel, haptic buttons, awful haptic buttons. I'll touch on these, pardon the pun, I'll touch on these later when I do the driving part of the review. Big infotainment screen. I think it's a bit bigger than my CUPRA Leon's. It's familiar interface. I did notice though that the drop-down menu, which you can configure to your own choice, doesn't seem to be remembering my settings, which is a bit weird. I think that's a bug, so I'll have to report that to CUPRA. You've got this big spine, CUPRA call it, which was part of the concept. Looks really cool, but does get in the way. If I get my phone, it does get in the way of you putting your phone into the charging tray. It's a bit of a case of form over function here. Well, there's still plenty of storage. You've got your cup holder here, you've got this quite cavernous area here to store stuff, but yeah, it just gets in the way a bit. And your charging points are down here, which are quite fiddly if you don't want to use wireless charging. All you've got on this spine is the hazard button. Very narrow air vents here, and this copper strip goes all the way across, and it has some issues which I will talk about later again as part of the driving review. It does affect some visibility to some degree. Steering wheel, other than the annoying haptic buttons, is now familiar to anybody who's driven or seen any other CUPRA reviews. Nice and grippy, copper stitching, flat bottom. Seats are comfortable. Seats feel like kind of armchairs compared to the bucket seats in my Leon. The design is quite spacious. It feels quite airy, quite roomy. Plenty of leg room for everybody all round. Visibility is good. The rear visibility through the mirror isn't the best because you've got that narrow rear window, but I haven't had any trouble parking or anything. You've obviously got the parking stuff. The rear camera is not a very good resolution, even compared to my Leon, which I was surprised about, and it's a little bit laggy. Sitting in the back is really comfortable. It's like one big sofa, although I've noticed you've got some side bolsters here in the seats which grip you slightly. It's almost like having mini bucket seats, which is really cool. Plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom. Very comfortable for 3 passengers. Took 3 rear passengers on quite a long journey the other day and there were no complaints. Especially the rear passenger was pleased with the extra leg room there. You've got the copper here on the door handle and this strip goes along here. Good visibility out the window. And you've got the arrow designs here, some tiny little arrows that change colour. These are all lights, these light up. The first time the passengers I had got into the car, they were really impressed. It felt really luxurious to them just being sat in the back. They didn't feel they were suffering by not being sat in the front. Start with the performance figures. We have a 0 to 60 time of 5.5 seconds. We have a top speed of 112 miles an hour. Now that 0 to 60 time is 0.2 of a second quicker than my CUPRA Leon with 300 brake horsepower in terms of 0 to 60. So how does this achieve that? Well, it's got 340 brake horsepower and, wait for it, 545 Newton meters of torque. That is a lot of torque. Now obviously it's a much bigger car, it's a lot heavier, it's got a big battery to contend with, but it's all electric, so that you can get away with that extra torque and that performance that is just immediately on tap. No gears to worry about. You put your foot down and the car just surges forward. Now, it's a little bit too eager at low speeds, so if you're trying to park, it can be a little bit frustrating to manage because you literally the slightest tap on the accelerator and the car just wants to go. It is quite addictive though. If you've driven an electric car, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, if you haven't, I highly recommend getting a test drive in one. It doesn't have to be this, could be the CUPRA Born or any electric car. Other electric cars are available. So the car has a number of drive modes as we've come to expect from Cupras these days. We have the comfort mode that the car starts in by default. That's the softest suspension, softest steering. You have two buttons, one for selecting the drive mode on the left of the steering wheel and CUPRA mode on the right. Now the CUPRA mode, obviously the button turns it straight into CUPRA mode. Press it again and it toggles back into the mode you're in previously. So if you'd set it to performance, for example, it would switch back to that. If it was in range, it would switch back to that. In terms of the ones available, you have comfort, as I've said, which is the one that's on when you start the car. The next one is performance. The next one is CUPRA. You have an individual mode as well, traction and range, which obviously will try and make sure you extend the battery as long as possible. You have a set of flappy paddles. Unfortunately, they don't do anything other than change the intensity of the regenerative braking. You don't get any fake gear shifting like you get on the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, unfortunately. But Cupra have left the flappy paddles in because they look cool, make the car feel sporty. But yeah, they just changed the regenerative braking settings. The cornering of the car, considering its size, feels good. Obviously, if you're in CUPRA mode, which I will switch it into now, it's a bit firmer, a bit tighter, feels a bit more planted as you go around those corners. Obviously, the car is really nice and quiet, being an electric car. The main thing you hear really is road noise. I haven't picked up any wind noise at all on the motorway. It's been perfectly fine in that regard. Three things I like, three things I don't like. First thing I like is the performance. It goes like stink, 340 brake horse, as I said, 545 Newton meters of torque. You are not left wanting in any way, shape or form with the performance of this car, despite being a big, heavy car. Second thing I like, it's very comfortable. These seats, as I've said, are like big comfy armchairs. Plenty of room for you and all the passengers, including the rear bench. If a passenger sits in the middle, they've still got leg room in front because you haven't got as much going on in terms of gearbox. So comfort, another big thumbs up. Third thing I like is the looks. I think it's really striking, especially from the front, a bit less so from the back, but it's retained a lot of the features that we saw on the concept of this many years ago, quite some time ago now. Really striking car, gets lots of attention, lots of people looking at it. Someone described it to me as a spaceship. It looks a bit like a spaceship, and it feels a bit like a spaceship on the inside as well. Three things I don't like. Firstly, the wing mirror reflection. This copper trim that goes around the dash looks really cool, but it reflects in the mirror pretty much all the time. On a really bright sunny day, you can see it, and it cuts through the mirror. I can see it now. It's not particularly sunny at the moment, but I can see this copper strip going right through the middle. It's even worse at night. Because you've got the light strip underneath, the reflection is even stronger. And at night, it literally half of the mirror is taken up by this copper strip. I think Cupra probably designed it and then didn't realize that would be a knock-on effect afterwards. Second thing I don't like, and this is going to come as no surprise, haptic steering wheel buttons. They are awful. Cupra seems to think that because it's an electric car and the Born has haptic buttons, that this should have haptic buttons as well. They are unresponsive. You press and nothing happens. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I keep catching my palm on the volume slider. Yeah, I hate these buttons, and I'm hoping they will see sense in the facelift Cupra Born and whatever comes after this one, and we get physical buttons back on the steering wheel, because you press them so often. I'm not the only person reviewing cars who's complained about them. Third and final thing I don't like about the car, well, not don't like, but give it a thumbs down for, is the rear camera. It is laggy. I don't know why. Well, it's not only laggy, it's also a lower resolution than my car, and my car has not got the best resolution. So yeah, the rear view camera, it stutters a bit, and the resolution is quite poor. Come on, Cupra, you can do better. I've seen better in your cars. I don't know why, for such an expensive car, they seem to have downgraded the camera even over my Leon. So I just do a quick video whilst I've got the car on charge. We're at an Instavolt charger at the moment. I don't know if it's the fastest available. I probably should have checked that before I plugged it in. So you can see when charging is going to be finished. You can see the percentage and the current range. And it's got battery care mode on, which means that it will only charge up to 80% to protect the life of the battery. You've got optimize here, so you can optimize rapid charging. It's only available when the ignition is switched on. Schedule, so you can program in charging schedules. Presumably that's if you're plugged in at home, you'll want to do that. And if I show you over here, you can see the screen here. This is the little dash screen, and you can see it showing you an animation of the power going into the car, and you can see the time left, as well as, again, the percentage charge and the range available. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you did, and let us know in the comments. Also be sure to subscribe for more like this, and of course check us out at SEAT-CUPRA.NET. We are the largest SEAT and CUPRA community of owners, existing, past and future. Be sure to join us there. Thank you for watching. Until the next time. Nice big infotainment screen here, very similar to the other CUPRA models. I think it's a little bit bigger than mine. We need to measure. That's what she said.